something beautiful is on its way to you. This is the experience of a lifetime, my dear friend. You want to give yourself this at all costs to your ego, your pride, and your fears. Love, it's everywhere. It's beautiful, it lives within, it doesn't need to be created. It is already there for you. We've hiked down 3 canyons and here we are. Let's shoot it, baby. I feel the funky chicken, the funky Messiah. Yes! Search for yourself on your own. Go within yourself. Find it within your breath, within your very spirit.
Mrs. Nixon is done.
Now I want to do a little magic trick. A spiritual path brings us to a place in our life where we discover the diamond and we learn how to pull it out of the mud. It's all very interesting. You know, after a day of counseling and doing all the things I do, my head can get pretty well muddled. I like to realize that it's probably up a certain part of my anatomy. I got to pull it out. I start looking at life, looking at this, looking at you, looking at me, and I ask myself the question, what's the point of it all? No matter how I try to help people or what I do to try to make things happen, come what may, it's going to happen the way it's going to happen. And there's not a thing I can do about it. And when you begin to look at your life from that point of view, you begin to see you and I have no control over this life at all. No matter what it is that we try to do, we can maybe manipulate a little bit here, a little bit there, but in the end, it all turns out the same. Life has no purpose. Life has no reason to it. Life is not logical. It's not scientific. What is life? It's the mystery of ourselves. It's the mystery of the heartbeat. It's a rhythm. It's a tone. But it's not one that makes sense to the logic and reasoning of my mind. So much of our life is spent trying to control something that inevitably cannot be controlled. To try to make something happen that maybe if it does happen or doesn't happen, really doesn't change anything on the planet anyway. What is the most important thing to understand about life? That life is the purpose and the reason of itself. It has no other purpose but its own existence. And once I understand that, once I'm able to flow with it, without my mind, without thinking in terms of how I'm going to make things better, more comfortable for myself, how I'm going to make things happen, when I'm willing to go with the ebb and flow of this life and realize, and it's very important to let life live me, that is when something unique is going to happen. You look out there, nothing's in control. Absolutely nothing. It runs by an order and an understanding that is far beyond the conceptual ideas of anybody, even science. Oh, we can monitor it a little bit and say, well, this happens when this happens, and we see this going and we see that going, but we really don't know how it all fits together. We only know little bits and pieces. And we only know little bits and pieces about ourselves in that way too. For years, philosophers and people in religion have tried to give us the reason for life, and it's always been very self-serving. Philosophy and religion can be very self-serving, serving the church or serving the philosopher. What if I said to you that your life is here as just pure opportunity, nothing more, nothing less? That you're not here to achieve anything. My parents always said, go make something of yourself, do something with your life that means something. So I thought, well, what does that mean? And I went to them and I said, well, what does that mean? And of course, my mother said, make a lot of money. And my father said, do what you think is important. That's not very good advice. What I had to do is find out who I was. There have been times in my life when I've been very clear about who I am. And then there have been times when I've been very unclear about who I am. In the times that I've been unclear, it's only because I tried to give a meaning to myself and to this life that it really didn't have. When I was willing as an individual to give up the meaning of what I thought would make me happy, and I was willing to let go of what I believed in, that's when life started living me. And either you trust life or you don't trust life. And if you trust life, you understand that it is here not to be giving us, so to speak, a reason for our life, but to be giving us an opportunity for a life. I don't know if that even makes sense to most of you. Most of us have lost the mechanism for understanding life. You can't understand it with your head. If you understand it with your head, you'll make 2 and 2 4, and you'll say, that's life. To understand life, you have to give up the very idea of the equation of 2 and 2. You've got to look beyond the equation. Not why is the equation there, but to even just let go of the equation and see the energy that's behind it. Life is a matter of energy, and its greatest asset is love. When I lose my way, which I do from time to time, just like you, I have to come back to a place where everything is beautiful but doesn't make sense. I don't know why 3/4 of the world is covered with water, and I don't really care. What I really care about is I'm one with all of this. And if I've forgotten that I'm one with it, that's a serious problem on my part, because it means I'm going to create a ton of pain and suffering in my life. Because I'm going to start trying to make everything happen the way I think it ought to happen, and I will be everything that I'm supposed to be so I can get what I want. And there's nothing more selfish than that. The greatest aspect of living is to surrender to it. All great masters have told us to surrender to life. We've ignored it because we've been too busy trying to get what we wanted out of life. You know, all of my life, because I was an only child, I've been a voyeur. I like watching people. I get a kick out of it. I didn't have any brothers and sisters, so I just like watching people, restaurants and places. And what I'm looking at and what I'm looking for is their relationship with life. You can tell by the way a person walks or the way they pick up an object in the grocery store or whatever, whether or not they're in sync with life, whether they're graceful with life. In other words, did they let life fill them, or are they filled with fear and trepidation over the way they've lived their life and what's happened to them in their life? When I look at people, I don't judge whether or not this person was a good person, this person was a bad person. I'm very interested in the stories they have about their lives. How did you live your life? What did you learn from this life? What was it in this life? Did you let life live you, or were you out to get something you wanted and you got it and now you think you're hot shot, or you didn't get it and now you think you're a loser? What is it? How did you live your life? What was the meaning of your life? What was the substance of this thing? How are you living it? Are you graceful because of the way you've lived your life? Are you kind? Are you more compassionate than ever before? Or are you the kind of person that kind of lives their life from one thing to another, trying to get everything you can out of it, squeeze the juice out of life, so to speak, and there's nothing left inside you or in anyone around you? I don't know, I think that giving and loving and sharing has a lot to do with life, but more importantly, it's my willingness to let life take me wherever it needs to take me. And most of us just don't go there. We're so busy trying to make life fit our ideas and our ideals that we miss life. Most of our life is missed because we blame it on trying to earn a living, raise our children, and have enough money left over to maybe take a trip to Hawaii. And that's the sum and substance of most people's lives. They just want to travel, eat, have some fun. Well, what's wrong with that? You know, that kind of attitude. Well, it's not that it's wrong. It's just that that's the part that takes me out of my life. That's the part that removes me from the opportunity of my life. It's not that it's wrong. I have to ask myself, is what I'm doing bringing me closer to this experience of life and my relationship with it? Or is it taking me further away from my relationship in life? That to me is the most important. And what is that relationship? Well, you know what I'm going to say, don't you? It's love. Love is an interesting quality. It's everywhere and nowhere. It's everything and yet nothing. And so few people attain to it because they're always so busy trying to gratify themselves with what they believe love is that they miss love. I think the saddest thing that happens to a human being is not their death. I think the saddest thing that happens to a human being is that they live dead. They're dead to the experience. They have everything they want, they're pretty comfortable and secure, and yet there's nothing going on inside of them. The only thing that goes on is it clicks away in the brain, and they're always plotting and planning on what next trip they're going to do, or how much they're going to eat, or where they're going to be in 10 years, or what they're going to buy. They're always thinking about those things, but they're never feeling life. They don't have a relationship with it because they've been so busy fighting it all their life, trying to conquer it. You will never conquer this thing called life. Buddha did not teach that. Jesus does not teach that. They don't teach people to go out and be successful. What does successful mean? You have a lot of money, you get people to do what you want them to and give you things. You think that makes you a success? Do you think all the people in the world around you, if they came to you and said, oh, we love you, we think you're the best thing since sliced bread, you think you'd made it? I don't think so. Who are all these people? What's all this stuff? It isn't going to change your relationship with life. You're still going to have to look in the mirror, close your eyes at night, lay in bed and wonder, I wonder what's really going on. Do you ever wonder that? I wonder what's really going on. What's going on that I can't feel, or that I sense, but I don't know how to feel. Something's trying to happen to me, but I've forgotten how to feel it, understand it, maybe even know it. To me, that's the tragedy. What's the point of it all? And all the stuff you get and all the people you meet and all the things you do, what's the point of it all? In the end, everybody looks the same. It all tastes the same. Everywhere's the same place you are. Wherever you go, there you are, as they say in Zen. What's the point of it all? The point of it all is to have a relationship with this life and to let life live you to such a degree through love that you are willing to shed and give up and surrender all the things that would keep you from the experience of yourself in this life. We are not here to gain power and mastery over life. We're not here to have dominion over life. We're here to swim in it, enjoy it, and allow it to bless us at every turn and bring us the mystery of ourselves. As I've said to you so many times before, the whole experience of a spiritual practice is found in the meditations that you're able to do. And without those meditations, all you have are words and knowledge means nothing. And we're going to do a very special meditation for this particular program. It's called Sitting Behind the Heart. It's a very simple meditation, basically a couple of parts. When you sit behind your heart, you begin to see things clearly. You will never see things clearly from this mind. The mind is nothing but a bunch of convoluted evidence to make my ego think that it's right. The ego manufactures all the evidence it needs to make my mind think the thoughts that it thinks to make me think I'm right. As my mind manufactures all of this, I lose my perspective on what's true and what's untrue. I like what Buddha said, see the true is true and the false is false. If I'm going to do that, I'm going to have to take his suggestion, as he said, to sit behind the heart. Now, what does that mean? That means that right here where the heart chakra is, you're going to have to learn to be a witness to it. We have our awareness here in our heads most of the time. Just imagine taking your awareness and dropping it down into the middle of your being, into your heart, and looking out of your life this way. It isn't a mental thing, it isn't an emotional thing, it's about clarity. But to get there, you got to do some spiritual exercises, and that's what this meditation is really all about. We're going to do, in the first part, a little pulsing, where we take the root chakra and we start squeezing it. Now, to squeeze the root chakra and to breathe means that we squeeze the sphincter muscle. So what we're going to do is squeeze it, and every time we squeeze it, we will take a breath up to the heart, and then we will let it drop. And we will squeeze it again up to the heart and let the energy drop. And squeeze it again and let the energy drop. So I'm going to breathe in, hold, and then release. We're going to do this a few times, and then what we're going to do is sit behind the heart, which means we're going to start to breathe in and out of the heart. I'm going to ring the bell, and then what I want you to do at home, and you can do it along with my friends, my students here, is just to breathe in and out of your heart, holding. On the hold, when you breathe in and you hold, you will see a different perspective. It's an opportunity to gain momentum and a spiritual connection with your heart. Let's try it. So I'll begin. We're going to begin by breathing from the root chakra. Breathe in and pulse, squeezing your sphincter up to your heart, and release. Again, up, holding, and release. They're just holding their sphincter. They're bringing up their breath up to their heart. Again, and release. Squeeze again, breath in, hold, release. Again, breathe in, hold, and release. Very simple meditation. What they're doing as they do this, and they can go on their own, is they're building energy. They're starting to build that little reservoir from the root chakra, which is where our energy lies, our life energy, up to the heart. Now I want you to breathe in your heart, hold and watch, sitting behind your heart. They're just observing now from their hearts. Release. Again, breathe through the heart and sit behind it and hold and watch, just observing, doing nothing more than watching without judgment. Again, release, please. Breathe through the heart, hold, sit behind. They're in third person, just watching. You can feel the energy in the room right now. And release. The reason we can feel the energy is because they are conjuring up that heart energy. Again, breathe in, hold. You can ask for insight in this meditation and kindness and guidance. It's very helpful. And release. Now just sit in Vipassana. Now they sit just watching. If you just learn to sit and watch after a meditation, you're going to find you get insights. Things you need to do, things you need to remember, all sorts of wonderful things happen. This is just a simple little exercise that any of you can do at home. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Don't go away. Well, life has no other purpose but itself. I was having a little dinner with a friend of mine. He was 71 years old, and he and I have known each other for many, many years. He kind of lost track of me and found me and invited me out to dinner. We were chit-chatting, and I told him I was doing this new program called What's the Point of It All? And he said, wow, what a great subject. And I said, so, Marty, what's the point of it all? What was it for you? He just looked at me. He said, you know, I don't know. He said, I'm 71 years old. He said, I don't know what I was doing. He said, I was going from one thing to another. He said, I just did the best I could. He said, a lot of things turned out the way I wanted them to. A lot of things didn't. He said, it's still all a great mystery to me. Next couple of days, he passed on. It's really interesting. I was kind of left with that conversation as I am now. It's kind of haunting me. What is the point of it all? It's a mystery. And the less I have a point and a purpose for life, the more meaningful life becomes. And that meaning has nothing to do that equates with anything in this head or the values of this mind of mine that strictly wants selfish gain. So take a look at it today. As you go on in your day, in your life, in your world, who knows what's going to happen? This could be your last moment. I don't believe in that saying today's the first day of the rest of your life. Yeah, I say today is the only day of your life. This moment is the only moment in your life. It's the only thing that counts. And if I can't live totally and completely in this moment without guilt and shame and anger and hatred, then I've missed my life. And that is the greatest tragedy, to miss the moment I'm in and the livingness that is there. I hope in some way in this program I was able to help you appreciate your life a little bit more and maybe get you on the path of looking at life a little differently without philosophy and religion. Please forgive me, won't you? Namaste.
Nobody does it better.
Life is not logical. It is not scientific. It is not political. It is not this. It's not, what the heck is it? Doodah.
Makes me feel sad for the rest.
Oh, the humanity.
Oh, the humanity.
What can I say about Greg Penn? I am his long-lost master.
We forgot the words, but you get the gist. Did Cecil B. DeMille start this way?
I have forged him along for many years,
And I want to tell you something. He said this was a media experience.
trying to awaken him through meditation and insight. And I can tell you, his basic problem is he's not too bright.
I do it better than he does. You're the best. All right, let's go. Wrap it.